hair. It's Grug as well. Do you remember the Grug books? No?
You're completely losing me here.
I think that
so
might be
sorry.
that might be
Is this
Australian.
the H thing again?
No, that
Is
might be
this
just an Australian thing. Let me know in the chat if you also read Grug when you were a kid, because those books were adorable.
This happens every time I talk about some Dutch kids show that I thought was international, and then I guess it's not. Happens all the time. It's okay. As we get into game number 2, we're not going to overreact after game number 1.
We're not.
But it was pretty one-sided. After the early game, didn't really feel like T1 had an in at any point. And it also highlighted something that we have seen, and it's, I think, one of the big reasons why T1 domestically don't always look as good as they do internationally. It's that if Owner and Carrier aren't in tune and both playing well, the team very often looks not nearly as threatening, and we saw it there. Owner, I think, was fine. Owner, I don't think really.
I mean, I honestly feel like everyone was just kind of coasting through the game to get to game 2 after the game was
after
lost
like the first
level
8 minutes. Yeah, well, they had the 8-minute fight, and then that was a disaster. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
it's fine. We call it as the Rumble.
I think Rumble's a big one.
Yeah, comes no surprise.
And banning the Galio last really did show their hand as far as what they wanted to pick up here. With the Nidalee ban, I mean, that feels like a throwaway. So HLE feeling like they can get 2 really big picks off the back end of this. The Ashe, actually a really good pick away, does pair very well with Rumble compositions for holding people down.
It's Ashe Cassante, isn't it?
I assume that that's probably
well, they don't
what
have
they're
to
looking at.
Pick Cassante here. They can pick something else. They can pick a jungler instead.
Ashe Poppy? You can just pick Poppy if you want. I don't know whether they're representing too much that's really poppyable, but...
I mean, you can always flex it. Right, you can go to either Delight or Peanut. The Zero's already taken out, unfortunately, so won't have access to that combo.
See what they do decide to do is, of course, Zeus knows exactly what he's up against here. Will it just be Cassante? Looks like it is just going to be Cassante. Owner and Faker now, what are they going to be locking down to show us their first 3 picks here in this draft? Rumble really does allow for some creativity. In the draft, I'm expecting Owner to pick something with a bit more damage, unless they just lock away the bottom lane. Put Smash and Carrier in a more comfortable position, and that might be the way to do it. Or it might be just give me the Lee Sin, we're winning through topside. Oh, okay. Victor would not be give me the Lee Sin. That would instead be one of Faker's more successful champions this tournament, but not necessarily one that makes us think, ah, yes, this composition has a true identity. It's a, sort of a you can throw him in anywhere type situation.
So then you pick up the Lee as well. The one thing you do need to be a little bit worried about is you need an engage support with this. You need Nautilus or you need Rel. You need someone that can set up for these big AoE, AP team fights. I think the Wukong actually is amazing in that regard. It does mean that you are looking at a quite rough early game. So this is basically T1 fully correcting after what was an incredibly lane-focused draft. Like, okay, Humble Life clearly did not give us any ins to try and play that style in the last game. We're not gonna accept that, as the Zyra for Peanut is something we've seen often. Obviously, if you haven't watched League for, what, like 9 years, you can be like, Ashe Zyra, it's still here?
Yes!
Yeah!
It's Praying Gorilla!
Woo! But the Zyra is...
Wait, actually, but they played for the Rocks Tigers.
Yeah!
And that's where Humble Life Esports came from.
Yeah,
Yay!
I know, it's cool. It's jungle.
Yeah.
We'll be able to outpace the Wukong particularly early. If I'm not mistaken, we had some light nerfs to Wukong on this patch as well.
We did.
But let's be real, Wukong in this draft is going to do one thing, which is set up for the other 2.
He needs to do spinning around real good.
Yeah,
and that was not nerfed.
No, he will, and he's also playing into Ashe. So even the Zyra, funnily enough, I think that Zyra has a lot of advantages. You can still throw down your ult, so Wukong is kind of stuck if he goes too deep. And you outpace him severely, but you do have 2 stationary targets into a lot of AoE teamfight power. I actually love the Zeri ban here because it was both something that Smash looked really good on, and it works so well with this style. And also want to highlight with the Kai'Sa, Zeri, and Ezreal all being taken away. Those were some picks that Smash had been extremely successful on. Rakan, also a Carrier Classic, taken away. And then most likely it'll be like a Rel or Nautilus pickup here for either team. Maybe...
I was thinking Leona perhaps for Delight as well, if you'd like to go that direction. But the Braum is going to be banned away just to avoid any of that funny business. We'll see where Delight does decide to go.
Could be a Zeka pick up here as well. I wouldn't mind giving Delight counter pick.
Oh, very true.
That is. It's not. You were going to say it's not a Zeka.
Yes,
ticket,
that's
right?
exactly what I was going to say, but it's going to be locked in anyway.
Anyway, yeah, I was really looking towards Akali. You know, that to me is like, it's one of the picks that can friend the victor a lot inside.
Yep.
Later in the game. It's also one of Zeka's. It's that or Silas, right?
He does have a skin for the Akali.
Does do that. Did do that a couple of years ago.
And there's the Poppy we were talking about. I think that this is not necessarily the most Poppy value because there's 3 champions that just don't even notice Steadfast Presence. But you can stop Cassante from doing some Cassante things. That could certainly be good and does limit Delight's choices as far as what he wants to be locking in here.
It also is one of the picks that, again, will have a really big impact when they roam. And Jhin is a AD carry that's pretty self-sufficient, so you can just leave him on his own.
Yep.
As there is De Leona, always going to feel a little dicey playing into the Poppy, but it's Ash Leona, right? Like the amount
you can still press R.
You can press R, and you can follow up. The amount of setup that's here is great. I do worry a little bit for Hanwha about that Wei. I think that Wei is really one of those picks that when it looks good, it looks amazing, but it's not necessarily Zeka's wheelhouse. And it also means that Hanwha Life are playing this comp a lot more on the kite back as opposed to what I think I was initially expecting, where they try and play a lot more aggressive. When I saw that core come out, their kite back is amazing though, and they have a lot of damage. But then I look at the T1 comp, and I think that that is both an incredible amount of damage, paired up with a Jhin as well, a lot of AoE CC. So I think that T1 going to be feeling a lot better about this one than it did about the last game.
I would 100% agree. I also think that this isn't a do or die in the early game style composition, and when you're in a best of 5 like this, when the pressure is mounting, it is better to have some late game win conditions under your belt, and they certainly have that here with this composition. I think this one is going to be a whole lot more competitive. I also love that we are knocking out so many of the high tier picks over and over again. The Rumble now, impossible to be picked again. The Poppy, things like this, these drafts. We get to game number 3, it is going to start looking real crazy as Cassante for Zeus. This is one of his good picks, but I'm worried. It hasn't been the archetype that's looked great for HLE. See whether they fixed it as we dive into game 2. All right, looks like the Hanwha Life esports fans have come alive a little bit here in Lol Park. Maybe they were doubting just a little bit moving into this best of 5, but now they've realized, wait, hang on. This is our team that we were waiting to see all year long.
We're good?
Yeah. Like,
question mark? Which is also how DK fans feel, I must imagine.
I mean, well, that's in a different way. That's like a, wait, we're good? Whereas Hanwha's like, we were supposed to be good, then they weren't, and now they're like, hang on, wait a second, we were right at the beginning? At least DK had 0 expectations.
I still have 0 expectations.
Oh yeah, no. If you're expecting like DK versus Nongshim not to be something that DK fans should be sweating about, then you've got it wrong. That's all right. Let's have a look at this. Is the lane swap happening? It looks like it's not. Looks like we're gonna have standard lanes once again. This time on the correct sides of the map as well.
We'll not see the Aftershock tech. We've seen that a good amount for the Cassante matchup as both.
I do feel like level 1 will not be very fun for T1 in this
Viper
lane, I guess.
went Hawkshot first. That's kind of crazy.
It is, and he does spot out the jungler with it.
So that must be because they weren't 100, like, because we didn't see an invade, right? Neither team secured deep vision. So I imagine that they thought it was a lane swap / wanted to know for sure that it was a lane swap. But it does mean that your level 1 is a lot weaker now. As we can see, that isn't enough to make it bad. As a Viper still able to fight for level 2 priority.
The dancing grenade looked so sad. Still, Deadly Flourish coming down here as Delight pushed into the turret. Eclipse is broken, so it's completely fine. Still, very even trade here between the two. This is a better look for T1.
Big win for T1 as they get 2 sums out of Hanwha. As Viper also used his barrier there, and then Smash cleansed the Ignite away as well. So didn't take too much damage from that.
Nicely done.
The carry and the light. They were already having fun in the pregame.
They were. The walkout was just them giggling at each other. It really does take away from some of the drama, you know?
No, we can... Come on, Atlas. We can create drama wherever we like.
I mean, I did my very best in the opening.
You really did. Yeah, I really appreciated it. Some might say that it was heavy-handed. I would disagree.
Yeah, no, that's not how it is. Peanut has finished his clear at about 3 minutes. Not too bad at all. And he is now moving into the enemy jungle.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's the Zyra advantage, something we talk about all the time, but they know. Yeah,
and he's also just on the wrong camp. So he does get the vision down, utilizes the little bit of extra time that he has before the the crab spawns.
Scuttle.
Yeah.
Good old Scuttle crab.
I was actually looking for just the word crab, and it wasn't in my brain.
Really?
It's weird. It must have been that silly video that you showed me earlier. It took over the spot in my brain where crab existed. Let's have a look at this from Viper's perspective. Yeah, he's like, maybe we're stand laning. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's as we were saying, as we were thinking.
And he just said chill afterwards. He was just like, yep, just wait.
Yeah, it didn't end up impacting his lane too much. Obviously, could have had a bit more pressure if he did have his W, but especially level 1, the cooldown is still kind of crazy. Is Zeka going to take a bit of a beating? Should be fine.
Just going to be pushing Owner away, clears out the ward. As all right, that's Viper taking a lot of damage, not wasting any time, flashing immediately. Ignite ticking, Viper will survive, but this is a big laning win for T1. Much better look here in game number 2.
Yeah, there is a reason why we saw the Poppy ban in game number 1.
Faker is almost all of the Victor wins.
Who's the other one?
It's probably Yukao.
Oh yeah, like a Yukao or Fisher. It's just going to be someone that you wouldn't think of initially.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was. I'm
no, we're
clutching at
guessing.
straws. I think maybe we've got someone that can tell us exactly who it was.
No, I wouldn't say grasping at straws. You're just making a guess. Now, whether it's an educated guess, that's a whole...
It was no, not educated.
Not an educated guess?
No.
But you are an LCK caster. I feel like it's at least...
I mean, I guess I know which players it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So there's that. Doran is also now going to get frost shot a whole bunch of times. Delight moving up here. This might be a flash situation as Smash is going to move in. And in fact, Doran did not have to use his flash. Oh, avoiding that one is definitely good as Smash utilizing that cool tech of different heights of the ground to mean that that Deadly Flourish was basically invisible.
Now we have the lanes still being matched, so On My Life trying to get out of a sticky situation.
Yep.
Not going to work out. And also, obviously, both teams want to contest for grubs. Doran does TP towards the bot side of the map to catch that wave.
Now you got Zeus just wandering his way back up, crashes that entire wave into the turret.
We are hard committing for these grubs, huh?
Looks
and
to be
so
the angle.
is T1.
Yep, and this is full information given over, as you can see so many people here in this mid lane. Doran going to move up over a ward as well. Everyone knows.
Fighting for grubs? What is this?
Maybe we are.
This is like the first Herald fights of back in the day.
I love this. It's a lot of action. Start this one off. HLE not wanting T1 to be able to close the gap, and Carrier says, I will do that. And Peanut already extraordinarily low. You can see all the AoE damage is massive. Viper and Smash fighting towards the top side, but Faker gonna be the first one to go down. Peanut the immediate answer, and Zeus will be able to execute Carrier off the back end. Doran does not like that, and so he's gonna melt almost all of them. Viper and Smash continuing to fight. This is just ridiculous. So far, it's a T1 win in the battle. But man, I just want to see more action like this throughout the rest of this game, as now Viper's in trouble, down to 200. Dancing Grenade, Deadly Flourish going to miss. Oh! And he doesn't have the flash, and this extended 1v1 is going to be a Smash solo kill in the end.
That's why you pick Rumble, baby. Play for these early fights. I was a bit worried for T1. They didn't have the Wukong out, crucially. But neither did Peanut. Didn't have his ult available. Zeka also with a costly miss, I'm pretty sure, of the ultimate.
Yeah, didn't see much of the spiraling despair.
Yeah, he missed it. A little bit of extra damage, I think, would have gone a long way. So fight starts off, Carrier goes in on Peanut, and then this looks okay, but they don't actually kill him immediately. And Zyra is one of those champions that as long as you get the damage off, and there you see it. which means
that was actually Zeus pushing him out of it.
Yeah, it would take a... and as a result, it takes a lot longer for him to actually kill Faker, which kind of snowballs from there. And also, again, want to highlight the damage that Rumble does in these fights. It's crazy.
Peanut is also really dead.
Very dead, yes.
Very. Do we need a replay of how that happened? I don't think so. I think he was just in the enemy jungle, and there was enemy there.
Yeah, with Zyra, it is one of those things where if you are in a bad position, there isn't really... There's no outs.
And he's also getting out-farmed by a Wukong now. This could not be very much worse.
Yeah, dying twice will do that.
Well, we are going to see it. Okay, just getting some vision, and now getting some damage.
Huh.
Did half the health bar there of Ona.
I'm trying to look like Ona's bot side camps were up, and maybe they were making the read that they were playing for Dragon, because this was after the Grubs fight had concluded. Peanut was already back towards top side of the map. That's a pretty costly mistake, though.
Yeah, Zeka is just taking a whole lot of Chaos Storm damage. Does have his ultimate back up again in a couple of seconds' time, so there we go. But Faker is really starting to dominate this one. You can see in that last fight, Zeka actually did manage to get a kill, and he's doing just fine, but Faker with those 3 assists, and just with how he's able to now play out the lanes with the extra priority that he does have, certainly working out for him as Peanut spots that ward going down. I think knows that he's not going to have access to this blue buff. Unless. See whether Zeus can actually help this one out. Blast Cone is going to come on through. Can Peanut find the grasping roots? The answer is no.
Yeah, he already used it, so not going to be able... It's also... Oh, they're still at his W, so I think never a really big chance as Peanut now looking for the invade. This is the type of plays where if it works, it's great, but if it doesn't, you're just kind of wasting time. His camp's armored up, so he's not...
He also just learned that Doran was roaming up as well, so knew that the catch was not going to be for the enemy team. It's probably going to be for them.
Unfortunately for Hanwha, the team fights do not get better anytime soon, which is really, I think, a core issue. And what makes this T1 team comp so dangerous is that T1 can basically start a fight at will because of the fact that they have the Wukong available. And we saw that Carrier was the one that set up that one. And whoever gets slammed or knocked up and Doran ulted will probably die. And if that isn't enough, we have Smash, who's also a fat Jhin that's going to be very easily able to support from a distance, either with ult or just with his W.
He has a level lead. Yeah, 2 level leads.
Yeah, and it's like a level and a half. You know, Viper is going to hit 7 off of this wave, but things are looking rough for Hanwha Life, and it's going to have to be some great team fighting because their comp is also very, like, they're going to be relying on actually absorbing the blow. And in that game, they weren't able to. Or pick off people with Ash Arrow and the follow-up CC that they do have. If someone is out of position and gets hit by any point of CC, they will die. Yeah. Right? With Leona and Ash to follow up, and then you have Zeka and Peanut who can, from a distance, just throw down a ton of AP damage. But the fact that Viper is behind this comp is also a big deal. Because that is your only source of AD. It is an Ash playing into Wukong and Rumble, and he's behind. Yeah. He's not going to be having a great time. No, not really. Well, maybe eventually he will. I'm still having that clip, you know, from summer finals where Viper did the thing against Ace and Co. That was cool. That was also, what, like 40 minutes in the game? Wasn't too bad. This is Zeus just being barbecued here towards the bottom side. T1 now looking for some more grubs. It's going to be 4 now picked up. Delight wanting to try and contest the river here, but it's so difficult, yeah. Grasping Roots comes down. There's the Stranglethorns as well, as Owner is getting taken down exceptionally low. The Ignite ticks and takes the jungler away. Now Peanut just trying to set up some of these plants to push T1 out of here. A good little fight here for HLE as Faker explodes! What? Okay, Zeka, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna kill Faker real quick underneath this turret. That did way more damage than I was expecting. Yeah, well, it caught Faker off guard. He had flash. Like 100%, if he thought that would have killed him, I imagine he would flash as Hanwha Life. He'd also almost walked out of it as well. It was almost just, he was gonna be okay. That's all right. Those 2 kills are a big deal. As we'll see, Peanut is still getting zoned away from this and probably won't be able, he didn't get a single grub out of it as well. And he really wants to deny the 6 grubs, but I don't think he gets to as the rest of his team has to back.
I mean, grubs were nerfed, so it should be fine, right? We saw 6 grubs, though, in the last game, and it was still doing a fair bit of work.
Take another look here, as Delight does get CC'd, but this is it's the classic engaging on the tank support with Aftershock and the W. Eclipse, Delight actually can take a ton of damage, and then Zyra does do her job, able to land everything. As we take another look here, so Faker has gone for Airy, which obviously really good, very impressive early in lane, but not quite as strong in these long extended trades. And then here, just completely caught off guard. And
wow.
I'm not gonna lie, I know that it's one of those skill shots that does an insane amount of damage if you're just by your lonesome, but
I was not expecting
that amount of damage. No, me neither. And neither was Faker. Ended up dying, and that is one of the big win conditions for Humble Life.
Getting Delight noticed Carrier there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just kept walking towards the brush. Still going to be okay, as now Viper looking to try and protect this outer turret. Smash wanting to grab himself another plate. And with the grubs, might actually be able to do so, as it turns out. Still just a hair's breadth away.
All right, Peanut. I guess Peanut's just going to go for the classic Leandries and Rylai's and just be as annoying as humanly possible.
And Peanut also, I mean, has them lined up here. There's the Grasping Roots. That will connect, but I don't know whether this is going to be enough. Viper having to flash here towards the top side of the map as the arrow connects onto Carrier, and the turret is angry! Viper picks up that kill. Somehow Peanut got an assist. Not entirely sure how that one worked out, but maybe it's just the Rocks Tigers Zyra Ashe combination value there that's giving it to him. As Deadly Flourish going to get blocked there by Delight, once again looking like he wasn't even aware that damage was coming towards him. Faker now looking for some revenge against Zeker as the Chaos Storm flies down. He gets feared though, and there's the Spiraling Despair. Takes the double tap of the damage, and that is going to be an evening out of that particular exchange. Multi's now on cooldown. They seem to just always be on cooldown here in this mid lane. As now Peanut, he's going to face check and get cycloned immediately. Stranglethorns comes in, finds the Grasping Roots, and actually wants some more damage. The flash forward, and Ona finds the Q. Zeker, I don't think he's going to be able to kill him on his way out. And Ona just says, yep, see you later.
Oh, Peanut, he could have walked out there. I think he tried to set the kill for Zeker, which would have been big, as Carrier is everywhere.
Yep, there's the flash out from Zeus. Don't know whether it's going to keep him completely alive, but let's see what's going to happen. The ulti knocks him up, and he gets the shield, and looks like Doran not willing to tank too much more of this turret, so they'll let him live and back away. Doran holding onto the flash.
What a game number 2. We already have had more action, I think, than in the entirety of last game.
Yes.
By 15 minutes, which you love to see. As we take another look here, this is it's what we talked about Viper doing the thing, crucially able to get out of the chain, get the arrow, and the moment you get CC'd.
And Carrier was so close to actually getting the stun off the heroic. He didn't get it into the turret. That is the big deal.
Yeah, which is why he was able to do. And then here,
good flash.
Yeah, but I'm also pretty sure Peanut could have just walked it. And then at least he would have traded 1-for-1. Peanut, I'm sure his damage numbers are still going to look good, but been a bit up and down on this. Zyra,
it's been one of his more questionable champions, I guess you could say. Like, he often spends a lot of time in the death chamber, but does do a lot of things.
He does, yeah. He really has embraced the old Zyra playstyle where you had the passive, and I think he just never let go.
That was the one I really liked playing.
I know, you always talk about it. Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Probably. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's okay.
You always know what the things that I want to be talking about. As this turret is by its lonesome, should be first turret blood going over to T1 here, as HLE just wanting to get themselves a Rift Herald. And so the teleport's come through from Doran. Okay, he's going to show up. They want to fight for this, but that is going to be the Herald coming on through. Zeus looking to try and start this one. Has already broken it up as the equalizer. It goes down. Zeker taking so much damage. He shouldn't be there. And that's 2 wiped out already. Viper is free hitting, but the Chaos Storm is so dangerous. And Smash is over the wall. They have nowhere to go. They're in the blender, and that means a triple kill for Faker. Zeus is now going to move towards his turret, but it is on 0 health. And he's the last man standing. What are they supposed to do? He's going to look to try and get back. He does have at least the empowered recall, so that is going to allow him an exit. But T1 are already trying to kill this outer turret in the mid lane. This could have just broken the game open. A little too much for HLE to deal with.
Not worth. I love this approach from T1. Even with Faker being taken out of the fight initially, like, look at the range with which they confront the backline. That flash from Doran, absolutely peak. Doesn't matter that he ends up dying. Doesn't matter that he ends up getting stunned immediately. It forces Peanut and Viper, and then you have Smash with the ultimate on top. You have the equalizer ensuring they can't walk out, and then you have a flashless Ashe stuck in a bowl.
Yeah.
And then the rest of T1 very happily ends up threatening that backline, taking that kill, and yeah, there is a price that generally should be willing to pay for picking up a Herald. That was not a good deal, unfortunately, for Humble Life, but it's a good deal for the series because it means that we are not looking at any 3-0 shenanigans, Atlas, and that will make me very happy. I don't want to repeat yesterday.
No, I don't think anyone wants a repeat of yesterday, and it's not even scoreline dependent. Yesterday was just a little bit of a roughie.
It was, yeah. Not the end of the line yet for Han, but their team fighting does remain quite strong. Their poke is good.
Yep, they've certainly got some tools. The sieging capabilities are there with people like Zeka. As OK, Equalizer just going to be thrown on top of Peanut, and the Spiraling Despair is exactly that for Doran. He just gets wiped out. Zeka going to grab that kill, and there's no response here for T1 so far, as it looks like positioning around the Dragon is what we're fighting for. Zeus looking for an angle, but there's a Cyclone from Owner. Peanut going to explode. Gets destroyed by Smash, and now we'll see whether Zeus can find some kills. Gets one onto the Monkey, wanting to charge up that Q, but doesn't quite get there. Zeka and Viper, a fair bit of damage, and Delight's moving in to be that front line. 3 versus 3 now in the fight, but the stun from the gravity field is massive. Look at these Qs, though. But here is Smash with that curtain call, and Delight doesn't seem to really notice. Carrier dives forward. Somehow Delight's still alive. Avoids the deadly flourish, but that's Zeka having to flash away, and it's not enough. Viper, can he do it? The answer's no. Gets popped like a balloon, and T1, they'll win another fight and now march up the mid lane again.
So close, yet so far for Humble Life there. Smash remains standing. Faker with what, like 3 big W's. Got another one right there. The TP though, we're not done.
We are certainly not. Zeus looking to make his way, and he'll be spotted on this control ward. Can they get out? That's the question. This is a lot of money sitting on Smash.
That's huge.
But no, in fact, they just get out. And it's not even really, it's like 87 gold as far as the bounty is concerned. That
all right, so
wrong.
Couple of key things. Wonderful start to the fighter for Humble Life as they find the pick onto Doran, take him out, and you think that should be enough. And I actually think they should have just gone to Dragon here, but T1 is threatening immediately to try and play towards that mid lane. Then Owner, beautiful start to the fight. There's the layering of CC we talked about. Zeus doesn't get to move because of the W, and Carrier knocks away the front line. Zeus was already chunked, and without the light there to set up for Zeka and Viper, they can't quite play it out. And then here, crucially, yeah, the movement there on that Victor, I think, ends up being the big difference maker. And the Jhin value comes through, even with the light positioning in a way where he doesn't get slammed. There's still so much damage available. And then look at that edge there. He gets pushed in effectively by Smash.
It's the most gravity field value I have seen in a team fight ever.
And it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Smash doesn't throw that the W, then Zeka doesn't walk in. Obviously, in hindsight, if he flashes away, flashes out, maybe they can win the fight. But I think that T1 are just matching them. Owner is the one that sets them up, and it has been Faker and Smash that have been knocking them down.
Yeah, Faker looking so good on this Victor. Certainly has been one of his best champs so far this tournament, but man, it just looks so different. I remember, we were like the first few days of the LCK Cup, we saw a lot of people picking Victor, like he was seeming like the cool new thing that a lot of players were going towards. And I wasn't buying it until I saw Faker pick it. And I'm like, now I know. I guess scrims might have looked like this for these other players. And that's why this champion is so popular. Because Faker is going to be, like, the damage charts are already reading definitely a lot as far as what Faker has been able to put in. And that's every single time he plays this champion. It's looking absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's also remarkable after, well, obviously it was a great one, but a very lackluster summer in MSI. As a Delight is, I think, probably in trouble. Depends on Owner. He doesn't want to commit the ult, which I think is fine.
Well, the arrow connects here onto Carrier.
Good damage here.
No grasping roots up yet for I don't think so. Wasn't able to chain the CC.
But last year in spring, it was Chovy first, and then a little bit of gap, and then Faker, and then a huge gap, and then everyone else.
Yeah.
Chovy is not in the conversation for best mid thus far, has not had a great LCK Cup. It's Faker and Showmaker.
Oh, deadly flourish, and no grasping roots, has to flash immediately. And the bullet going to tag him. He's dead already before that final one does even come through, and that means no jungler for this Otacon. T1 with full control. Owner knows it. He's going to start up the buff. And Faker just waiting here. We'll be able to push out this wave, but no one can approach. Face-checking this team is so hard. Zeka knows it. He's in this mid lane. And there are bounties already. It's looking like a repeat, but with opposite sides of game number 1, right? T1 absolute domination in this game. And oh dear, when they turn the lights off, I get so scared. Faker gonna find the death ray as that is right on the edge. Not quite going to kill the Ashe.
Atlas, there was one very funny irregularity in this game.
What's that?
I want to see if you can spot it. It's not Peanut dying for a 6th time. That is, I think, unfortunately, something we do see with Zyra, where if you start falling behind, like you are in immobile mage, you will just kind of die on repeat. Really nicely done there again. I think Owner and Faker have been, for me, the 2 big standouts in this game.
What's the irregularity?
We are 23 minutes in. And there is something that should have happened that hasn't happened yet.
Nah, don't. It
has to do with earth, wind, and fire.
Oh, wait, we haven't taken a dragon?
I know!
What the heck?
I know!
Not one dragon!
Not a single one!
Wow, they must just know that it's like, oh, it's the cloud rotation now, says T1, because it just always seems to be Mountain and Infernal and Cloud, and Cloud was just nerfed 5%, so it must be worthless.
If you caught it in chat, you're very smart. Proud of you. Good catch.
Wow, I can't believe I didn't even notice.
Isn't it? No, but I didn't notice because there's been so much action. Yeah. We've been distracted.
Well, Zeus not going to be able to dash out of that one. Doran going to be moving up. He is still pretty tanky, but this is an Otacon buff. And so HLE, not a lot of options. Peanut standing right next to this control ward that is outside of the brush. It's very, very cute. Arrow going to be sailing towards the top side of the map. Let's see whether it can... No, it can't. And they're just going to dive. Doran's the one tanking the turret, so he's likely to die here. Sent back home. We'll see whether Owner is going to be able to pick up a little bit of an exit kill, but they do just take the turret instead. Faker going to get pulled back. I think that this is going to be enough. Yep, that's most of the kitchen sink thrown at him. And so they at least send him back home. This is something that they're capable of doing, though. Peanut rotates up. He's able to pick that one as finally our first dragon is going to be started right before Baron is spawning.
So, you know, how about life? They can just stall. Soul is literally not.
I mean, Elder is, it's about 25 minutes away. I think we're going to be okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess we can end with Cloud.
But yeah, no, it's that's what I said. I mean, it's Cloud Soul.
Yeah, so it's Earth, Fire, and Wind.
Fire, and Wind. Yeah. It's always just those Drakes, though. All right.
It's Atlas. Things are not looking good for Humble Lifer, unfortunately. I think the 2 consecutive team fights for T1 were just a little bit too much to bear. Outside of a Hail Mary steal from Peanut, getting themselves... Let's look at that. That's my Doran. Wow. He's just flashing in.
Zeus able to not get stunned into the wall. Certainly good news. Gravity Field coming down here as Owner steals away the red buff. That's what we're fighting over now. Deadly Flourish going to connect, but eating the CC is Zeus. And Zeka really needs to land as much of this poke as possible. One of the problems is it's like, I feel like Zeka is so good at knowing how to navigate a team fight, right? Yes. Where it's split-second decision-making as far as like getting your combos down perfectly.
He's getting cooldowns and he's threatening in the back. Yeah.
This, I feel like he has too much time to think about where he puts stuff, and it doesn't really fit with how Zeka plays the game, which is something we've been talking about forever, right?
No, I mean,
oh dear. Well, he's not going to be able to see the bad guys, but he's still possibly just dead, as he does eat it with the Seraph Shield, so there you go.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, it's like if you have a person that does, you know, the Red Bull extreme sports.
Yep.
Like they dive off of stuff and they do a lot of, and then you like go play this chess match. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? It's like, yeah, just do it.
You might be really talented, but it doesn't mean you're talented at everything.
Yeah, I don't even think Zeka's had a bad game. It's just
no. It just doesn't really fit, you know. Still, he's ahead in farm. There's at least that. Still, there's a lot of very large gold lead.
He's down 1.8k gold, Atlas.
Look at Delight's lead, though. Look at Delight's lead, man.
Yeah.
Massive. Yeah, 1.8k isn't as bad as 2.3k, though. Zeus is really, really far behind. And Zeka's only really far behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking
So
about a game that's already over, guys.
Okay,
If you didn't...
Again, as long as they don't flip a Baron and lose it, I think T1 have this one in the bag. That's the only, like, they get the bounty, they get the stall. We have another 10 minutes. What is it, 13 minutes before you need to fight for Soul?
Well, Delight is possibly in trouble, as there's another Deadly Flourish. Beautifully placed. The equalizer will mean that Delight is dead. The arrow just sails by, and Faker goes golden to keep himself alive. The all-out, though, is now he has to 1v1 against Zeus. Keeper's Verdict gets rid of the Ashe, though, so can't be offering the extra damage, and Zeus has to flash away. In the meantime, there is a battle on the other front, as that is not the correct Wukong. And HLE, there is only one on the floor right now, but T1 keep everyone alive. And that might just mean they can use that man advantage to take this Baron.
That's a lot of ultimates used, but it's the same for Homa Life, and they have zero vision. We just saw as well the amount of vision that's there for T1 in this top. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. They're seeing everything. Peanut, though. A man with a dream and a mission. And again, a lot of ults are out. They have good poke.
Yeah, this Baron is so incredibly low. It is going to be secured here by Owner. Deadly Flourish just barely avoided by Viper was nicely done, but his don't have very much damage, and Doran is just flashing in. Peanut in so much trouble, and yeah, between a rock and a hard place doesn't really do it justice. There's two on the floor already. Another beautiful gravity field position there as Zeus is just going to be stunned up and burnt down. Delight goes as well. It's a double for Owner off the back end of that, and with 5 men standing, T1 are going to march down the mid lane, utilize this brand new Baron buff, and send us to a game number 3.
T1, after a very lackluster game number 1, strike back with some amazing team fighting. That mid-jungle duo is going to be looked at, but even Doran on the Rumble, earning the prio on that pick.
Oh, yeah.
Through and through in this one. And Atlas, I know you're normally the one that does this, but I am looking at my hands.
I can see it. I can see it. It's all over you. I can't even see the hands anymore. There's so much game on there. Oh man, Faker looking a little bit angry here, as you would. He's like, yeah, put these rapscallions in their place. And he absolutely did on his Victor. Beautiful composition, executed beautifully, and I love the bounce back, especially like we were talking about. It was Carrier and it was Owner that were kind of passengers in game number 1. This game, I mean, Carrier's Poppy is always a joy to watch. We were talking about it at the very beginning of the draft. Like, this is something that has not been addressed. He picks it and demonstrates exactly why he probably should be banning that champion. As you can see, Peanut, very, very vocal. And yeah, like you say, like, there were a lot of things that were removed in the last 2 games. We're going to get into some really interesting drafts, especially now that we are guaranteed a game 4.
As Doran, a little cheating, because he did have Leandris,
yeah.
Right? But I think everyone on T1 just played well. Owner found the catches. Faker played the team fights incredibly well.
And Smash was brilliant on the Jhin.
Like, and that's Atlas talking positive about it.
And I'm not a huge Jhin fan personally.
Anti, actually.
I am quite known. But this was a brilliant performance. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down. And then we'll have game number 3. It's a best of 3 from here. Anyone's game. We'll see you there.
커버 가능해?
펠 누구 빠졌어? 다 있을걸?
베라가 일단 안 보인다.
일단 먹을 생각하자.
베라 먹어. 왜 높여?
먹어볼게.
아 먹어봐. 베라 먹어.
자, 풀 들어온다. 먹었어. 야, 애쉬?
애쉬 높인 거 같긴 해. 나 뒤로 쫄릴 수 있어.
오케이. 살짝 가볼게.
왜 높이야?
오케이. 내 공 한번 열게. 하여 옆에.
아래 보면 될 듯?
애쉬.
왜?
싼테.
아래 좋아, 아래 좋아.
사이트 보는데.
높이야.
마무리. 왜 이래 이거 이상.
이러면 끝나겠다.
보내자. 끝난 것 같아.